System. Introduction to AZMAT System. Let's open. This is the AZMAT System user file for user with AA ID, user ID AA. So this is the file AZMAT System will use for that. Let's open one of the curve files. So we'll open the curve file for rates edit. I'm going to open the US dollar. So USD ZRUSD.XLSX, opening for rates edit. Let's open that particular file, rates edit. As usual, always lets you know that you have to save this file at the end of the editing session using one of the AZMAT System commands. Otherwise, the changes will not have any effect. Okay. And because I've opened rates edit, it doesn't show as read only here. It's open as read write mode. For rates edit, I can go only to the area in red, sorry, in yellow. I cannot go to any other area at all, because the rates areas are the only areas you can change are from here to the end there, all the way up here, and to here, these yellow areas basically. Rates and calculation environments. AZMAT System offers a fully protected rates environment where only authorized personnel can view or change any data. Users can choose between live yield curves and where rates prices are entered manually for spot SP, for spot, cash CA, and futures FU. And below the futures, after the end of the futures, then we have swaps, SW. The first two letters therefore represent whether it's a spot, cash, future, or swap rate. So for any currency, basically, you can enter each currency has a separate rates file. So in this case, I've opened is for US dollar curve. So this file is named as ZR. All reference curves in AZMAT System are named as, the first two letters are ZR, and then the currency 3 letters. So it's USD.XLSX in later versions of Excel. Earlier versions of Excel would have only ZRUSD.XLS. The user can have several curves if they want to open file. The reference curves within AZMAT System, they'll name it as ZRUS 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. There is no limit to the number of curve files which can be used, thus each dealer can freely create and use several curve files. In any curve file, the user can choose to enter either the bid or the offer, rate, or price. In addition to the bid offer spread, the user can ask AZMAT System to avoid any holiday dates from the calculations. right? Holiday days, days to avoid. So these special days, any special days you can ask the AZMAT system to avoid, and days to avoid the bank holidays, for example, for the GBP, British, so UK holidays, avoid those by specifying the currency, or Deutschmark, DEM, or days to avoid special holidays. So using the currency code, basically 3-letter currency code, to define, to specify the country. You can also say weekends, if it's 1 here, to avoid Saturday or Sunday. So in this particular case, I'm only asking you to avoid the 0.1. In the 1 here for weekend, avoid Saturday, Sunday. I'm not asking any special. This is the example data. So here you will specify the actual. Now note that since we've opened this file for rates edit, can only change the data here. Everything in yellow or there. In order to change here or enter any dates here or whatever, I need to open this. The user rather should open this file in File Edit if they have permission to do so. If they do not have permission to do that, they can't change anything other than that. If they have only permission for changing rates edit, rates of bids of price, bid offer prices, etc., they can only do that. So only certain users within an investment bank will have the authority to change or specify special holidays, days, and so on, or change the structure, or change any of the futures, number of futures, so on. So the user can ask AZMAT system to avoid any holiday dates from the calculations. This can be done for a given curve, that is rates file, for example, in this case, ZRUSD, and also for a given set of cash flow or discount factor dates. Okay. AZMAT system can use cash flows from any file that can be opened in Excel. So in order to look at the cash files, let's go. I don't need to come here, I could choose here from here. For example, here, cash flow there, cash flow date 2 area, and so on. Discount factor, DF for discount factor. So the AZMAT system can use cash flows from any file that can be opened in Excel. So it doesn't have to be your own user file, like in this case, AA.xlx. Can be any file, literally, that can be opened in Excel. The results can be placed anywhere in any open Excel worksheet. So if the file is there, right now I've only got one file open, AA.xls user file, and this is the US dollar rates file. I would not use this for placing any results or changing anything other than, if I go here, I'm not using anything other than to do with that specific currency, US dollar in this case, rates file. That's what it is for. In an investment bank, in a working environment, this file would be used by all the dealers for that particular bank, not only in one country, but across the world. So for example, when the UK market closes, then the market, then it will pass on to some other market, for example, Japanese yen, Tokyo market, and then back to USA, and then from USA back to UK, and so on. So the same, for same investment bank, this file, for example, the rates reference file, would be simply be used by one country's dealers, then then to another country's dealer when the market closes. One market closes, the other market opens, and so on. So it's not just, so this particular, these files, the reference files, are very, very important files. You would not just so casually go there and change this and that. If you want to change it, if you're working in an investment bank, what you do is you create your own reference curves and name it differently. You can call it, if you want to use the reference curves, you could all call it ZR US1, US2, 3, 4, so on. Still stick to this 3-character code for the currency. So you can use or GBP or GP1, 2, 3, 4, if you like, whatever you want to call it, but you must stick to the 3-character currency code. The other thing here is now if you go back to the other file, to the user file, as you can see, the present value, PV stands for present value. This is the most common financial instrument used in a bank, in an investment bank. The dealers would be using this something like 90% of the time at least, present value, and yield not so often. So present value methods, PV methods, are, as you can see here, A, B, O, M, P, V. Usually this, you've got the bid, offer, mid, all of them to specify how many, for example, in discount factors, which we will, when we go in detail in discount factor, it will make more sense. So we won't go in detail right now. But right now, what I'm here saying is the bid price should be used, B for bid, for now. So the present value here is using the bid prices rather than the offer or the mid. So if you go back to the dollar rates, is using the bid prices. As you notice here, you have the bid offer spread and you have the offer prices are here. So they are very different, as you can see that in here is bid, offer. Difference between the two is the spread. Okay, if I go back to the, and the other thing is you can use, so it can calculate up to 5 different, AZMAT system can calculate up to 5 different types of, let me just first go back here to the, so it can calculate up to 5 different types of PVs, present values, up to 3 different types of yields, 3 different types of yields, and up to 5 different types of discount factors. DF, discount factors method. Now, all these things right now probably won't make any sense to you, but they will as we progress through the course, as we'll go through each of these points in quite detail. Okay, the user can choose to have the results placed in a specific area by simply selecting the required number of worksheet cells. For example, I can just select one cell, as we saw in some other tutorials, and place here either press, for example, Control V for present value, Control Y for yield, and so on. Or you can just simply ask using the commands from add-in commands, X menu, use any of these commands, present value, yield, present value, and yield. So it will place the results in this area here. Macaulay's duration, if yield curve is not flat. Again, we'll go through all these, each of these in quite detail later on. But this is just so you know where they are in the X menu. So you click on add-ins to get all the AZMAT System menus, and in the X menu is the Excel environment menu. And the check dates for holidays. So you can specify a particular date, deliberately put a weekend, if you like, Saturday or Sunday. Select that and say check dates for holidays, and you'll see that it will change the holiday date to a non-working, to a non-holiday. For example, not Saturday, Sunday, go to the following Monday, or in some cases can go back to the previous working day. That also depends on the actual method which is required by you, the user. You will specify that. We will see that later on when we actually come to do those. So every single thing I'm talking about, we will be doing, for example, here. DF means discount factor. So here, for example, DF date weekends, 1 equal to avoid Saturday, Sunday. If I put 1 there, as is here, it will avoid Saturday, Sunday. This particular one here, as you notice, you can see only 1 date here, but it's actually an array of date. And it's an array of the date is 39441, actually stands for a particular date. So you might know it like so, 31st of August, whatever year. But the computer, Excel system, works only as every date converts to a number. For example, in this case, if say 39441, if I put it here, 39441. See, it changes to the date here, Tuesday, 25th of December, 2007, in this particular case. So even though it's Tuesday, not Saturday, Sunday, it's a Christmas Day. So here I'm specifically saying avoid that date. So instead of saying 21st of December 2007, in this case, you have to specify it as a number, and to find out what number to say. So if I copy that, whatever date here, if I copy, so use the copy command, copy that, and say here, also put it here, paste special as values. If I say paste it as value, so in here, remember this is 39441, should be. I'm copying, not that, I've copied the, so paste it as values there, 39441, which was that original date, which I put it there. And the reason here you see it as Tuesday and a date there, and here you see it as a number, is because the format of the cell. So if I first cancel this command, for example, or better still, I'll copy it here, even though I'll copy it again here as value, say, because this here, I have already formatted this cell, these cells as to display date in this format. You'll notice that if I actually paste it, that it's gone like that. And if I, instead of just simply saying paste, if I use paste special and value, again, you should see this as 25th of December, Tuesday, 25th of December, because I have already formatted this as a date format. Oh, I have not, sorry. Okay, so this particular cell is not formatted. Right, let's say I want to see it in there. So what I would do is I will take it and I want to paste format. my mistake. Should copy that, and here, paste the format. Paste format there. So by pasting the format of that cell, remember I didn't copy the actual whole date. I just copied the format of that cell. And because I had that number there, if I can do the same here, I can say here, I want to paste the format of that is still there, selected. And if I press that, paste format is there. See, it says paste format there. When I hold it there, don't know whether you can read that small bit, but it does say paste format, that's command. So that will change. This one will change to display this format, Tuesday, 25th December. So selecting that cell, then say paste format. Now, the reason you see all hashes is because that column is not wide enough to show this date in this format. If you notice this column here, column 4, is very much wider than column 3. If I widen this particular format, this particular column, then I will be able to see that. So let's just show you. I'm just going to cancel this command here first. Now select destination by simply pressing escape there. And now by widening this particular column, say that should be wide enough, there. I can see that same date format. So it had copied, but it's just that because the column wasn't wide enough, it was showing as all hashes. Now I have done something. I don't want to my original column bit change to this new column bit. So if I want it back, all I've got to do now is just click that undo column bit, which I just widen it. So click that, back to that, and here, this particular one, if I don't particularly want to see that formatting, then I can maybe, in fact, I might even do undo paste to special. So if I take that off there, last one I did paste special, so take it off, escape that. So this is just to show you that by simply changing the format, in this column here, I had already here as well, I've got it all formatted as to display date in this format. So that's why it's showing. Okay, let's take this off now. We'll just proceed to the next bit now. Now, AZMAT worksheet and AZ parameters area. This is this area. Let's go through this briefly here. So this parameters area, this whole area is called AZ. So if I select that, there. In the top left here, you can see in this here, the name of the area is shown as AZ, because that is from row 2, column 1 and 2 to row 29. Row 29, column 2. So row 2, column 1 to row 29, column 2 is defined as AZ. You have to have this AZ parameters area on any worksheet which has got AZMAT, worksheet called AZMAT, of any workbook. It doesn't have to have this full width. It can also have a smaller width, which doesn't include this discount factor bit. So we'll go through this in a minute here. Let me just briefly show you here. So any valuation command in AZMAT system can be started from any worksheet in a workbook. Let's just go through briefly with this idea of what is this is a worksheet called AZMAT. I could have another worksheet in here, quite a few worksheets, in fact. But I can start the command, like for example, whatever command you're doing, from any worksheet in a workbook, as long as that workbook contains. So as any valuation command, for example, present value to calculate present value, yield, discount factor, internal rate of return, or duration, any of these valuation commands, these are called valuation commands. And valuation commands are in add-in X menu. If you look at it here, X menu, there. So Excel environment, present value, yield, internal rate of return, McColl's duration, or discount factors, they're all valuation commands. So any of these commands, so to any valuation command in AZMAT system can be started from any worksheet in a workbook, as long as that workbook contains a worksheet called AZMAT. There. You have to have a worksheet. You don't have to have. You don't have to actually start the evaluation command from this in this workbook only. Let me just close this here. So if I had another worksheet here, I could start the command from there, because I already have in this workbook. Workbook can contain several worksheets. So I can start the command from something else called sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you call it, or you call it some other name. I can start the command from there. So for example, Control V, put the result there. As long as I have in that workbook, which is the same workbook, a worksheet called AZMAT. And the AZMAT worksheet must have a parameters area defined as AZ, like we saw here. This, in this case, is from there, there. You see the AZ here written because it's already defined as here as parameters area. If we didn't have the parameters area correctly defined like this, what it's expecting, it will actually detect that and let you know that it is not properly defined and will not then proceed with your command. So the workbook can contain only AZMAT worksheet or AZMAT worksheet and other worksheets. Right? So in this case, for example, it's only one worksheet. One worksheet it has, and it's called AZMAT. Fine, that's okay, no problem. So it can have this plus some other worksheets. But one of those worksheets must be called AZMAT. And on that worksheet, AZMAT worksheet, you must have a parameters area defined as AZ. If you don't have that, AZMAT system will not proceed with your command and will let you know so too, exactly what's wrong with your command, what's wrong, you know, whether the parameters area doesn't exist or the AZMAT worksheet doesn't exist in that particular workbook, and so on. But you can place results there, no problem. You can place results in any workbook, and it doesn't have to have AZMAT worksheet there. But the source, the workbook where you start the actual any evaluation command must have a worksheet called AZMAT, at least. It can have other worksheets if you want to have that, but it cannot not have AZMAT worksheet. Right, so the workbook can contain only AZMAT worksheet or AZMAT worksheet and other worksheets. Note that even if the name AZ is defined on another worksheet, for example, if I have sheet 2, 3, 4, or something else, another worksheet called whatever else you want to call it, you can have as many worksheets as you like. But if you have this area, defined area AZ, on another worksheet, which is not called AZMAT, the AZMAT system will only use the parameters area from the AZMAT worksheet. I hope that is clear. So you can define the parameters area AZ. You can have it on other worksheets as well. But for example, here, if I put in 1, it means use the cash flow date 1. Cash flow date 1 is that. Use that cash flow. If I have this AZ area was another worksheet, and there I had 1, it will not use the cash flow area in that particular worksheet wherever it is. It will use the cash flow area from here because it will use the AZ parameters area as defined on AZMAT worksheet. Note that the requirement for an AZMAT worksheet containing the AZ parameters area applies only to a workbook where a valuation command is started from. Right? So you can have the results on any worksheet in a workbook, and you don't have to have even the AZMAT worksheet there, the target workbook, if you like. So there's no such requirement for other workbooks used by AZMAT system for input or output data. So these workbooks do not need to contain either AZMAT worksheet or AZ parameters area. So for input data means, for example, cash flows. You can have cash flows somewhere else on another worksheet called, say, sheet 2, another worksheet called sheet 3 or 4 or whatever. And you can have the input data, for example, the cash flow date 1 area from sheet 2, and you can place the results in sheet 3 or 4, completely separate worksheets. So those particular workbooks do not need to contain either the AZMAT worksheet or AZ parameters area. So those workbooks can be completely separate files, basically. Think of workbook as a file. Worksheet are sheets within a particular file. So, for example, worksheet which contains the input data such as cash flows, right? That's the dates and then the actual amounts here. That's the cash flow, or discount factor dates. And discount factor dates is just the dates. So discount factor dates are just one column, whereas cash flows will always be 2 columns. So there's date column and the amount column. So the worksheet which contains the input data such as cash flows or discount factor dates does not need to be even an Excel worksheet. It could be for example, comma separated value file .csv or text file .txt or whatever. So doesn't even need to be an Excel file. The user can simply point to, with the mouse, the relevant data when prompted by AZMAT system. So if you don't have anything here, for example, I have nothing there, and I said, right, I want the system to calculate the present value and yield, for example, here, and place it in here. So I can just go, I can say, use the command say present value and yield, in this case, going to do is for the zrgbp.xls rates file. It will ask me where the cash flow is because I have not. Because if you see here, I deleted the actual CFDs here. I have nothing against the CF date, this cell. So if there is no cash flow area defined by here, by a number here, it's expecting a number between 1 and 99. If you do not have anything, then it will ask you, prompt you to specify where the cash flow date is, the source. And that source file could be on another file, which does not need to be even an Excel file. Right? So for example, at that particular point, I could say, so if I start here, if I say calculate present value and yield, for example, so press OK to keep changes made to the ZR. Remember, at this point, I have not actually even saved my file here. I had opened it for rates edit, but I didn't even change anything at all. But let's say we have changed, let's assume we have changed, made some changes to this, and we want to, so before it can actually calculate my command, AZMAT System remembers I forgot that I was actually in the middle of changing the rates file. I had opened the zrusd.xlsx file to make changes to the rates for rates edit. In order to be able to use it, this file, the file has to be edited every single day, all these rates files at least once before they can be used. So in this case, I'd ask it to, I'd opened the file for rates edit, but during this tutorial, completely forgot about that and actually had given AZMAT System another command, that is to calculate the present value and yield for the GBP rates file, which is on the AZ parameters area. And because I had not specified the actual cash flow, it's going to ask me where is the cash flow. So before I can do that, this command, I have to decide whether I want to click OK to keep any changes made to this file, the zrusd, or click cancel to cancel the entire edit session and restore zrusd to its original condition, as it was before the original edit command. Let's assume that we have made some changes. We basically, even if you don't want to change any price, you don't have to actually change anything. The prices, because they may not change on a daily basis. So if the price does not change, you leave it as it is. But you still have to open the file for an edit session, either rates edit or file edit. File edit, you'll only do it when you actually are changing some structure. Basically, anything including the rates. Rates files are all the yellow area on the file. All the yellow area, any of the yellow area is for rates edit. You can change. Okay, let's say we have made some changes. I'll say, right, finish this one first. So this file, so it's going to first complete the rates edit. Note that I had not had the screen update on, so that's why it's just done that now. As instance completed required calculation rates file, zrusd manual version, and the file has been saved, telling me that's done so. So that file can be used in future calculation from now on. But now when I click OK, see what happens. I had asked it to calculate the present value and yield for, if I move this, see zrGBP there is already there. So, but because I was in the middle of the edit session for the zrusd.xlsx, AZMAT System made sure that it has completed that command first, zrusd.xls. Now, when I click OK, this is just a notification, information, I for information message, letting me know that it has completed the required calculation file on that file, on the rates file, zrusd, and the file has been saved. So when I click OK, now it should go to the original command. Sorry, not the original, the command which I asked it in the middle of the edit session. I had asked it to calculate present value and yield. I used from add-in and from the X menu, present value and yield, while I was in the middle of the edit session for the zrusd. So it's finished that. Now continuing with my command, which is to calculate present value and yield, but it needs to know what cash flow area I should use, the computer AZMAT System should use, because I have not specified any number here to indicate the CF date area. So here now I can select there. For example, I can select from here. As soon as I do that, there to there, it doesn't have to be full. I can actually say just use that, in fact, if you like, or there. So it doesn't have to be the full whatever you have there. So the cash flow, for example, yes, if you don't want to use the full one, you can say up to here, but you can also actually start from here if you want, if that's what you want. No problem with that. So in this particular case, I'm going to stick with that and go say first 3 columns only, first 3 rows. And I'll be quite happy to use that. But if I use CF date 1, if I want the CF date 1, remember, is full all the way up to here. So if I put number 1, it will use the entire until basically if that's what I've defined, if that's what CF date 1 represents. If I want to use this here quickly, this bit, then I would not put anything and then say, right, okay, use just this as cash flow. So you'll quite happily go and use that now. And but then here, that's where this the source file can be any file. So this area I have got here doesn't have to be here. I could have easily gone, change the actual, switch the window to some other file and use cash flow from there and quite happily use that. So, okay, there, present value and yield. Notice this is only from here to there, that cash flow. And that is not cash flow date 1, unless I specifically define it to be. Then it will be cash flow, whatever, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. Okay, so now let's go to the, I want to show something, how to quickly make these cash flow days, cash flow areas properly, how to quickly create, if you like. Let's do this here. We go here and open, very briefly, just for something, I'm going to use it here, SSWap model. So SSWap model is ZB AZMAT.XLSX. This is a very, very sophisticated, very complex, very detailed model. It is in the hands of an SSWap dealer. It's really a money-making machine, more or less. So right now, it's actually telling me maturity date must be greater than or equal to settlement date, because these dates, whatever I had here, the transaction date is 5th of July. Or the settlement date must be greater than or XL. So this is 29th August 2011. Original there, I must change it to something beyond that. So let's make it, for example, 2018. Now I'll be quite happy. So that error has gone. Now it's a warning message. Change to input data has been changed. PV yield and net profit or loss, P&L, results displayed may not be correct. So letting me know that the results you have, all these other things, they may not be correct. So you must first, you do the calculation. It has to be calculated. Since I've changed the maturity date, the whole calculations. And if you go down, slide down here, you'll see the cash flows there would be very different to change. So let's change this here. For example, I'm going to change it to, in fact, get some large number of cash flows. So let's say 2028, for example. So as soon as I change that, now change the maturity to be 29 August 2028. So if I go down now, notice all these cash flows are already been, it has created. So very quickly, if you want to just have some realistic cash flows, go down here and change the asset swap model, open asset swap model, put some dates there, and you have some realistic looking cash flows there, which you can then use it for other test purposes. In this case, the currency of bond is US dollar. The swap currency is also US dollar. So it's really interest rate swap, where the currency of the bond and the currency of swap are two different currencies, like US dollar, GBP, or GBP, US dollar, or anything else, JPY, Japanese yen, or XCU for euro. Then it's called cross-currency swap, where the currency is the same on both sides, swap and the bond. Then it's called interest rate swap, because the currency is the same. We will go in much detail here at future date, but for now, I just want to take off some of these here instead of select. Let's just change something here. Right, the frequency here, annual here. I could make it annual, semi-annual, quarterly, or I can just enter number 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just take this from here for now. I'm going to change the maturity to a bit less than 2028 before I do any calculations even. So let's change it to, this is 5th of July 2017. Let's keep it to say 5 year. Keep it to that roughly about 5 years something. So again, telling me same thing, that all these input data has been changed, and the PV, see all this here, the results. These are not, they don't represent this because this has to be calculated. Cash flows are the ones which are automatically, in this particular model, SSO model, they're calculated automatically. So let's take, for example, I'm just going to copy this here. We won't go into the detail in the calculation bit right now, so I'm just going to copy that, change the file, go to the AA. Let's say I change it here. Don't have to change it there, it'll be anyway, but I'll just, okay, let's keep that for a while now. We're just going to change the year in a minute later on. Let's just change it somewhere else. Put this here somewhere. In fact, this was particular one for something else. I had got the whole of that, as you can see, that is cash flow date 5, 6 there. Very similar to what I have there. Let's copy both of them. Let's copy that. Then we have got both in one go rather than one. So I'll just go back there. Rather than just one. rather than one. Let's copy both of them. So I can select the escape. Then I can call this bit as one cash flow, that bit as another cash flow. Okay. Right, let's cancel that. And I'll copy that. So I'll copy that, copy, and we'll go change the file back to that one, a.xls, and let's go below there. Don't ever start anything right one after another. Always leave at least absolute minimum one cell blank. Reason for that is when AZMAT System checks for cash flows or anything, whatever, it's always, if you don't have to specify the whole date, you can specify the top cell. And then it'll, as soon as it comes across a blank cell for the date, then it uses that as a guidance, it's a guide, so that it will say, right, the cash flow, this particular cash flow area stops there. So that's why, and also, for example, so you don't need, when you ask it to check for holidays as well, you can just get away with specifying the top cell only. So always leave at least one cell blank before any of these dates. So let's say we put it here. You don't have to have one, we can have several. So I'll put it here. I can specify, I can just the top cell, and I can just say, this time, remember, this is not, I'm not using the AZMAT System commands. I'm copying, just using Excel commands too. So I'll just say, I've used the copy there, so I could paste it here, or better still, I have to actually use the paste values. I'll show you why, explain to you, because that is calculated using the actual, I don't want to copy the formulae, right? So formulae, formulas you might say, but the correct spelling is formulae for plural, in case you didn't know. Right, I'm specifying the top cell, and I don't want to paste because it will have the formulae in the resource, which will have no meaning on this particular file because it doesn't really refer to, those are calculated using certain formula. So I must use here paste special. I can do two things. I can just use the value first, and you'll notice that the dates may or may not be in the same format, but I'll copy the dates again, sorry, the formats. So let's just copy the values there. As you can notice here, Excel uses numbers for dates there, dates, as opposed to now. Now we can actually here, and here these are just simply no colors as such either, no decimal places, how many decimal places I have here shown. So if I now again use the same place, paste spatial, I don't need to take it off and put it on top cell. I can leave the selection because it'll be exactly the same. So I can say paste spatial. This time I want to paste the formats. So paste spatial, and instead of value, I'll use formats. So I wanted to copy the formats. So I've copied the value, I've copied the format. I have not copied the formulas here, as it says formulas or formulae, right? But the end results here, now you see they write format. It's copied the formats as well, same as I had there. Reason for this is better to use the day as well, because then you know, if it's just by looking at it quickly, you can see if it falls at a weekend, for example. Then you can say, right, okay, I need to run the check. So there we have it. So this is very quickly getting so escape to cancel the copy command there. Now, always best to go up here and give it some meaningful names. So I can say here, for example, I had CF date 5, 6. I can calculate that, copy that, copy, and I will there. You see, return or enter there. And I'll change this instead of 5, I'll call it 7, because I have 5, 6. I could have anything. It doesn't have to be systematically ordered. Enter, enter, get quickly there to 7, 8. 8. I can also actually, before I define these names 7 and 8, so at this point I don't know whether they are already used. To quickly see whether they are used or not, you can go into the formulas, if you like, there, and you can see the formula in define, let's see here, define name, name manager, define name when you're actually defining. But if you go in if you say name manager, then it will tell you what the existing names are as well. So we want to know whether CF dates 7 and 8 are already used up or being used in this particular file. So if I go into the name manager, you can see that here I have CF date 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't have CF date 7 and 8. So I can quite freely change the date or create these new names. Because if I had not checked this, and if there were some already defined being used somewhere else, for example, 5 and 6, then it will upset the original ones will be replaced by the new ones. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep the originals as well safe. So so now I'll just simply here, this is date 1, DF date 1 and 2 I have only. And there's a DF result, RES for result 1 name. But the cash flows I have up to 6. So first select that and define the name. Okay, so for example, so now if I go into here, formula, if you like, formulas, Excel uses that, so I'll have no choice but to say so. So I want to name that formulas. This time I will use the define name because I'm actually going to define the name itself. So define the name, define names or apply names. If I use apply names, so I have ignore relative or absolute, use row and column names. Actually, what I want to do is I don't want to use this for now. I'll tell you why. Because I don't want to define the actual, I don't want this amount going in there. So I'm going to there. I'm going to say right formula, define the name. And this particular says row 73, which is highlighted here, row 73, 79, columns 2 and 3. And I want to call it scope is in this workbook. In this case, it's fine because the workbook on the worksheet is the same here in this particular case, but I had better limit it to AZMAT worksheet in case I create later on other worksheets in here. And I'm going to call this CF date 7. So CF date 7. Okay. So as you can see here, CF date 7 here when I've selected that. If I, before naming the CF date 8, just show you here. So if I select that, CF date 5. So that's CF date 5 from there to there. And this should be CF date 6. If I stop here, shouldn't show anything there because it's not. CF date 6 is all the way from there up to there. So only if I select the full area there, now it should show. Oops, I went ahead one more row. So I must go back, stop it there. I'm pressing the shift key and then clicking there. So that will shorten there, CF date 6 shown there. So let's name that as well, the other one, CF date 8. So I want to call this there, and it's a formula, define name. I actually have here as well. One of these is define name here. Let's use one of my icons once. I think if I have already got, I have somewhere. If I click here, it's going to go over, it's going to come back. So let's go back here. Let's see. Defined name. So these are defined names, whereas this one is defined name. So this is the one I'll use when I'm defining a name, to define a particular name. Whereas this is defined names. These are already the names which have been defined. So if I go, for example, if I just actually have a while I've got it here, let's have a look. So this should show CF date 7 as well now, but not 8, because I have not completed the defining the CF date 8. So it should have up to CF date 7. So define name manager, same as we saw before in there, CF date 7. C has been included in there. It puts this, begins the first date already on it there and so on, but the extent is there. Row 73 to row 79, columns 2 and 3. And all these here workbook, I have this particular one I chose AZMAT worksheet as the scope. In this particular case, it's the same. So I can actually have another one, same name for a different worksheet if I wanted to. Let's just go back here. And this time I'll define this one as, so I can go back here. That's the one to define the name. And here, let's say I'm using here, apply, not apply, but I'm going to use define names. And I'll leave this time scope as workbook. That is correct, 73 to 84. As you can see, it's highlighted 73 to 84. And this time I'm going to CF date 8. Right, CF date 8 there now. So if I want to now, having got the just some basic one here, let's go CF date 7 or 8. We'll use these. I want to show something in here. We will calculate in the SSOAP model as well. So if I go back here, show you here, this is what here we have. I've copied this bond cash flow, SOAP cash flows in the CF date 7, that is, CF date 8, that is. So we go back up. I'll just deselect that. As you can see, you can't see any formula behind because then they are hidden. We'll see it all later. When you later on future tutorial, when you go in very much detail, you'll see how complex this particular financial model is. Okay, in here, first thing I should do right now is I've got the US dollar. Let's see, I don't have it open. it will open automatically itself, whatever it needs. Okay. So I wanted to calculate the present value, all these of the bond, swap, and all these other things. So I can use in here add-ins. Z menu is specifically for SS swap model. So if I say, right, Z menu here, calculate bond market price, swap margin, and that, and all that lot, calculate net PL and 1 basis point move. We'll go into this later on, but let's do this particular one. The whole lot is got everything should calculate for all the things we have specified. That's the maturities there and all these other values. We'll go into all of these later on. But for right now, I just want to concentrate on the cash flows and the present value and the yield. So I'm just going to ask you to calculate the net profit or loss. P&L is profit loss and 1 basis point move. So if it moves by 1 basis point, again, what it is, it gives an idea. Let's just see. Note this message will change. Commands in Z menu have been specifically designed to work with this file. That's all it's saying. It has taken off the warning message that the data may not be correct, because now it is correct. It has calculated according to this particular settlement date and that maturity date, and all the US dollar and so on, all the other thing. So if you look at this here, present value of bond, PV of bond flows is that 222,503, and present value of swap flows in US dollar is that. We'll quickly go back, but before we go back, have a quick see. This is the same. It has not changed that. We have already copied this on there in the other file. So now what we want to do is to calculate the same thing. These other columns here, all these later on we'll go through. It's very, very complex, this particular model is. It lets the user do many, many things beyond just a very basic thing. There, and again here as well, quite a few things. So this SS swap model alone, going through this could take several hours of tutorial. So right now, I'm just going to concentrate on this. I just wanted to copy the cash flows. We have done that and that. We've named it cash flow 7, cash flow 8 in the user data file. So before going there, I want to just copy the present value of both. Right? The present value of both. The bond flows, in fact, if I copy that as well, then we'll know what it is. So copy that, copy, and I'll change the file to here. And I'm going to put it somewhere where I can see. Right, 7 and 8. So if I put it, in fact, there is actually, it has placed them both as one over the other. And remember the first, well, I don't need to actually, I can just simply put it here in 2 columns. So if I can use it here, although it is against here, but this other one is for that. So if I say copy, so paste values, paste spatial, and I'm going to copy the values. I could actually, no, it's okay, that's fine. It's nothing wrong with this. I can later on copy the other way on the other one if I want to. Okay, so copy as values there. So 2, there. So present value of bond flows is that, and of the swap flows is that. I could have copied, or I could copy it right now, actually, no harm in that. Copy that there, for example, there. So present value of swap flow, because this side is swap, this side is bond. Keep it there. I could have copied it in one go there by using a slightly different Excel copy command, but let's keep it simple. So if I delete that there from there, I don't need that. I have it here. So present value of bond flow is that, and the swap flow present value is that. Let's calculate this in right here. Provided I may actually have this one defined as a no, I can only do it one at a time because I have to define I have to specify a cash flow area. I can't specify both and get it together. I'll have to do one by one. So that's fine. If I now here press Control V and specify this cash flow, I should have in this particular file, the present value calculated should be exactly the same as that. Okay, and that same calculated value will be placed in here as well, present value. Okay, now I want to use the cash flow date 7, area 7, so I can say 7. So this is CF date and the question mark. Question mark stands for any number between 1 and 99. So if I put 7 there, it'll save my time without having to specify already. I'm just going to split the screen as well so I can see both. Right. There. So I'm keeping this here. I'll just put it up slightly one more. And there. So present value of the bond flow is that. That same value, if I say, right, I want it here. Present cash flow. So use cash flow area 7, which is this one, from there to there, right? A CF date 7. CF date 7 there. This is CF date 7. It's the date column and the amount column. Cash flow is always 2 columns. And so CF date 7, by saying 7 there, it will automatically use that. It won't ask me for the cash flow date area because it's clear. Its name is already defined in this particular worksheet, and I've already specified by putting that number here. So right, if I press my cell here, I say, right, if I press now Control V, V for present value, it should change this cell to that amount. One big difference. If you notice, I've got here ZRGBP, and the currency in the SSOP model is USD. Show you that. There, currency there. Currency of bond, US dollar. Currency of swap, US dollar. Both of them are US dollars. So the curve or rates file it should use is for US dollar, not GBP. So I'll go here and change this here. Instead of, I could specify the whole ZRGBP, Or I could be just lazy and just simply say USD. And AZMAT System will automatically change that to ZR_USD.XLSX whole lot properly when it's finished this command at the end. You'll notice that. So right, I was saying, right, use the US dollar curve, reference curve, that ZR_USD.XLSX. Use cash flow area 7, which is this, and put the present value here. If I use Control V, and also it will put it there. And you'll see it should remove the yield as well, because that yield will not be applicable for this newly calculated present value. And because I'm not asking it to calculate yield, it will not leave the wrong one. It will only, if it doesn't apply, it will simply remove it. Okay, so Control V. There. First thing, notice that our USD.XLS is put down because I just put USD, it's put the full file name. And we have very slight difference. 226,603.4304, 226,603.43. Notice there's a difference of 100. Now, why that is so? Let's go back here. See in this particular SSOP model, so there's a difference of 100. Don't worry about this slight difference in the decimal places. But in the actual 603, 222,603, 222,603, that's the same as that, 0.43. But here, 222,503.47. So if you forget about the 0.04, the main one in here, difference of 100. Now, why that is so? Let me show you. This is the present value of the bond we're talking about. So if you go in here, SSOP model, net market price of bond currently is 100. So it has taken off from there. The present value is that 100 plus the because the present value of the bond flows in US dollars 222,503 is showing there in SSOP model. In the other file is showing as 222,603. Here is the net market price. The current price, we're assuming it is at par, which is 100. So that's why you have a difference of 100 sort of shown in the SSOP model and versus the anywhere else, any other worksheet. Because this worksheet here, they're not actually doing any swap as such. At this point, we're simply calculating the present value of this bond, this worksheet, sorry, this particular cash flow area here for the bond. Right. Let's now 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's do the same for the swap as well. So the difference at 100 is here. This is from the SSOP model. And is taking use of the actual current value of the bond as well. The bond, the present value is already 100 here. See? So that's why it's showing that 503 in here and in there 603. Now this one, 245, 550. Now, if you go to the other one, you go here, and now this time it's say, right, use the cash flow area 8, okay, and do the same. I'll put it here, right, Control V. Using the US dollar curve, same as that. And this time, let's see what happens here. Control V. A, B. 225, sorry, 245. So it's minus that because it's swapping that one. Minus 245,650.033.076. If you ignore the decimal places, again the same. 650, 550, 100 difference is because of that price on that. In asset swap, you're using the actual current value as well, showing that what it is. So here, we are just basically interested in the actual present value of this. So the total, the actual present value is that, 245,650. Okay. So whether you use in here, an asset swap model or outside the asset swap model, use the cash flows, you'll get the same net value. Now, the reason for the other one, slight difference, you might want to know, sorry, for A2S. Coupon basis 4A2S. If I go in here, 4A2S. Semi-annual, whereas here I'm using annual. Okay, we won't go into too much detail at this point. Just wanted to briefly show you for now. We will go into all these different yield basis and the yield frequency and so on later on. The present value method, I'm using the bid, and the yield basis here is the 4, and the frequency is annual there. So, but just to show you that you could copy, you can very quickly in asset swap, open the asset swap model, enter some values, whatever, then you can copy the cash flow dates very quickly from there. It's already system it calculates. Just copy, but make sure don't copy and paste. Use the copy and then paste value. And if you want to also paste the formats, but do not just say paste, because then paste will try to copy all the formulae, and the formulae behind which you cannot see, the formulae which are being used in the asset swap model to calculate these cash flows there. If you try to copy the whole lot, this formula, whatever is here, we'll look at it later on in detail, what the formula, I'll unhide it and show you what the actual formula behind it. But those formulae you cannot copy. They will be meaningless for you to copy the formulae which have been used in this particular file. They are here. They're applicable only in this ZB AZMAT.xlsx file. To calculate these values, it is using other columns, values in other columns, other cells in this particular workbook. So if you copy this, you copy the actual formula as well from here onto the other, any other workbook, it will not, you will not get the same values here at all. So copy them as values. Very important. Formats, you don't have to copy the formats. If you don't want to, you can copy the formats from here, or the simplest way is select, say, there, and copy first, copy, and then go to somewhere else and say paste format. Where is it? Here. Paste format. And it'll copy the same. For in this case, date format, for example. Okay, I'll just show you here. For example, here, numbers. If I want to copy that, just copy the format. So let's just go somewhere I will put in where I don't have any. For example, here, I'll enter 2 items here. In fact, the same thing here, not the same values, but I'll just copy I'll enter a negative number, 75, say minus 75, and then because this here, it is centered, this formatting here. This is not necessarily, it is not centered. This is has number in here, on here, the right side. Okay. It's a general format, but okay, so minus 75, and I'll put in, say, I don't know, something, just say 59. Right? So there is a positive number, that's a negative number. If I want to copy the formats from there to here, I just simply select that, copy, select my target. Don't have to select both of them. I could just select the first one and paste format. Right? So paste, it basically paste that particular, copy that format here from those 2 cells onto these 2. And the only difference you will see right now would be that this 75 will change to red because that is red. Negative number shows red. So if I say paste format, there. Paste format. The other one is if this was centered. Remember, originally, it's moved it to the format of here, which is not centered, this particular column. And escape will cancel that. And just to show that it has also copied the 1000 separators, whereas here, as you notice, there's no 1000 separators here. I could actually copy the format here, or if I change this number, to, for example, I don't know, it's a big, large number right there. Not that big, but it's 1000 separators should show on here, there. And this one, again, here, I can make the number really large, something. There, 1000 separators are shown here because it's there. And you can do the same here from there. You can copy it up here if you want to. No need to copy the negative one. Just copy that here if you want to, then you'll see the separators there. Okay, so now we have gone through basic, very, very basic calculating this. We have not actually gone through the whole of this parameters area. We will go through in some another tutorial later on. So let's call it a day for now. We will go through again more detail. There is quite a lot to learn, quite a lot. So just basically barely touched it. So just to recap, we copied the formats from AZMAT model, open the AZMAT model, change. So open, so let me just show you how we did. Add in, quickly generate some genuine, properly meaningful cash flows, which you can use in while you're testing learning, is to go in the add in, click add in, go into the J menu, and open the AZMAT model. Just click it. You don't have to give it a name or anything. AZMAT System will automatically open the appropriate file. So click that, it'll open that. I already have it open, so I don't want to actually close it and open it without. First, I'm going to do some saving. So I will just come out of it. And if I just change the directory, go to the asset swap model here. So from here, very simple, you go change the maturity date to something meaningful, 5 years, 1 year, 2 years. Very likely 10 years, even the maximum is 30 years ahead. But I wouldn't necessarily, most swaps would be about 5 years. Keep the 5 years. You'll get meaningful results here. And then once you've done that, without actually doing any more calculations, you will have here a message saying that the displayed results may not be correct, because once you change anything at all, even just that frequency of the LIBOR or the basis, the results will be different, or the PV method, or the calculation method, and so on, or the coupon frequency, and any of the things here. If you change, you have to calculate. And to calculate it, go into Z menu, click Add-ins, Z menu, and then calculate what you want it to calculate. If you want just the bond market price, do just that. So bond market price, or the net profit loss, swap margin, and so on. We'll go into more detail each of these later on, with all these, every single command. So, but for now, I just want to very quickly show you how to get meaningful cash flows, is to change the maturity to say about up to 5 years ahead, say between 1 and 5 years ahead from whatever date you are using, which will be the transaction deal date. System will automatically put the current date, which in this case is 5th of July, 2017. So that's why it's got there. Anything, remember, same convention applies here. Anything in yellow color is something you would change. You're meant to change. We have it down here as well. Issue date and all these other things. We'll go into detail later on what they are and why you would change. Or you have all these other areas, this area as well. This is specifically very, very made the Excel in the AZMAT system asset swap model extremely flexible for the dealer. And based on real life requirements of different dealers, real life trading, and dealers working in various international investment banks in the city of London. These are the things as well. We'll go in more detail later. But by simply changing, and again, all these other things, really very, very, very extremely flexible, this particular model is. It's like a Rolls-Royce compared to the very early asset swap model I had developed, which is like ordinary family saloon car. This one is Rolls-Royce, top level, in terms of functionality and the flexibility it offers the user. You will see, and then you'll also learn how to develop your own models. This is worth its weight in gold, if you like, asset swap model. In the right hand, it's really a money-making machine. Right hand, bond dealer, asset swap dealer. It's really worth a lot. Okay, now, so this one, so just by change the maturity date, open the asset swap model, using the command add in J menu, SSOP model. So it'll open this particular model, and all you should do is always, you will have to change the maturity date because it will not be always, it will change as years go by. So you need to change, the current date will be there automatically, this system will, AZMAT system will enter. So make sure this maturity date is about maximum 5 years ahead, say, for example. So we are in 2017 there, so it's 2022. I have entered there. It can be less. Make it less or less than or equal to 5 years. Doesn't have to be exact 5 years, but thereabouts, say. And then you'll get meaningful results here because most of these features are that long in this case. Not most of them, but it will generate useful cash flows there. And then you can just simply copy, select it, copy, Excel copy command, go to the other file, which could be this, could be any other file, select just one cell, top left if you like. Better to use only one cell because you don't know how many rows and columns. And if you got it wrong, for example, if you say, right, copy that into here, definitely Excel won't like it at all because this is shorter range than the original. So rather than having to calculate exact number of rows you're copying, just give the top left corner. In this case, I'm using it like so because I have already got my dates columns. As you can see, it's much wider than the amount column. So I'm putting it like this. Instead of, for example, I'm not saying my from here. I'm not saying there. Say there, for example. Top cell, because then the dates will be here. This is not really, A, it's not formatted in that particular format, and B, that it's not wide enough. It's just going to, so try and use it wherever you have the dates here already that, then you could use it this way if you want, no problem. But better to stick to that both date and column, because here, for example, again here, if you use there, date column, a date and amount is fine, but for this one, as you can see, this is not wide enough. So instead of having to widen it up and then it will upset all the others, better stick to the decide in the beginning which columns they should use and use it accordingly. But it's not that important. You don't have to follow if you don't want to exactly. But what is important is you copy them as values, right? As copy, then paste the spatial. Oh, sorry, at this point I have not actually copied anything. That's why it's grayed out. So if I'm copying, copy, now it's not grayed out. Then I put it somewhere wherever I'm putting it. Then you press in the values, paste formatting. Oops, didn't mean to do that, but it's done that. I'll just undo that. Right, paste special, and then values. Okay, copy as values, and then again repeat that command, paste special, and then formats, if you like. Do not use the paste, which will copy everything. Formulae, values, formats, and anything else, comments, whatever else, because you do not want to copy the formulae when you're copying from the AZMAT model, because the values you will get will not be the same as in there. Let me show you. Actually, I was going to finish it, but let's go here. I'll cancel this command, see what happens. I go up here, change that. So same area. I'm going to copy. I'll go back to the SOAP model there. It's already selected, so I just selected it there. Even if it's not, take it off, right? Select that. I'm select there. Copy. Copy. Now I go to the other file there, and I say, let's say this is my top left corner, and I say paste. Let's see what happens. Well, surprise, surprise. I have already actually copied the, taken off the formula there, it appears, because it has got the values here. I think in the AZMAT model, when I'm displaying here, they are automatically calculated, but you will not actually see the formula at all in here. Right. This particular model there, if I change that now, (2020), for example, it is Saturday, so it won't like that. Then the date has changed, so you need to put down something. So in 29th August, I'll put it, say, 31st, which has to be a Monday, meaningful. I'm going to copy that there, from there. No. Okay, let's not do any more in here now. There's no point, we already got that one here. The basic cash flow, or we can just do that. You can see that it will make a difference here and this here. So copy that. Special values. Special format. And scale. Notice that the difference, there is a difference between the initial value here from what we had there, because we've changed the maturity date completely. We'll go into these things later on, and the last value here is different to that, because the maturity now is 2 years earlier. 29th of August was there, 2022, now is 31st August 20, around 2 years earlier. Anyway, that's the best way, quickest way is to go to AZMAT model, change the maturity date, something, and copy the cash flows quickly, rather than having to you deciding to create manually. A, it will take too long. B, it may not be accurately represented. Whereas from that system, automatically they are calculated. They are meaningful and realistic. Okay, we will call it a day now on this particular session. And before I do that, I'll save this one. So add-ins, view data, view menu, save AZMAT data file. So it was 5th July, 3:57 a.m. Okay, let's call it. So now we'll stop. Right. See you in another tutorial.